Hello, everyone. I am very happy to talk to the speaker we have today, who is a Shetty certified life coach and who specializes in emotional wellness and transformation coaching. Her name is Amritha Kailas, and she's also a CEO of Samsarga, an online school that offers courses, training, and coaching services to help women break free from emotional barriers to discover their true self and find peace in their lives. I am very excited to talk to Amrita. She brings so much value to her community. She is also a host of the podcast called The Peace Bridge. She's a certified Reiki Master, Udemy Sanskrit Instructor with over 10,000 students across 142 countries. She's a blogger on Medium and Core Spirit. She's a speaker and she's a musician. She's a person who wears multiple hats. And I'm so inspired to talk with her today. Hello, Amrita. Welcome to Align with Your Dharma.
Hello, Aruna. So pleased to connect with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. So, to start off, let me ask you how's your journey so far from um, Sanskrit instructor to Reiki master to musician. So where did it start? How did you start as a musician or speaker? Fill us up. Thank you.
Sure. Um, to tell you a little bit background about how all of this started was I was fortunate to be brought up in a family where spirituality was considered really important in life. It
Mm,
was considered more important than practicing religion. So
mhm,
I was fortunate to be brought up under that lineage through my grandparents and my mother. All of these people always used to have these conversations at home more about the deeper aspects of life. So I grew up listening to these conversations and stories, and those actually had seeds, or I would say, had thrown seeds into my heart. So I didn't realize about any of this, but I had a quest right from my childhood as to understanding what is the deeper meaning of life. But I
mm,
carried this in my mind for quite some period until I was in grade 7. So, until that period, I was carrying this quest inside my mind, and I met a great master through my mother. He was
mm,
around 90 years when I met him, but he actually called me over and he initiated me as a
mm,
young child. I still did not understand about the meanings about any of these things like initiation or anything of
mm,
that
mm,
sort.
mm,
So I continued my journey of like reading spiritual books because I was very interested to know, as I said, like the deeper meanings of life. What is it more about God, or what is it more about life? So since I was also interested into music, I was interested into listening music. I was taught music from a young age, and my gurus in music were very old and they were very inclined again towards spirituality. So through their songs, through their teachings, and modeling before me the positive mindset and living in front of me as people who had high values, I was looking to them as kind of my role models in life. So
mm,
from an early age, all these people had their own contribution to inspire my mind. So, by being in a group of people who were always spreading positivity through their attitudes and behavior, it became easier for me to kind of like set my role models early in life. So that was the beginning of the journey. And as I continued this journey, it was easier for me to kind of like find people who are inclined in that direction. So it was a natural way for me to connect with all those kind of people. And as I grew up, what happened was, I had this amazing group of people who were interested into spirituality, like my mother and my grandfather. They took me to places where this was most deeply studied.
Mm,
And it was during one such meeting that I got an opportunity to connect with my mother's friend who was a Reiki master.
mm,
And that's how I started learning Reiki. And as any curious student would do, I picked up Reiki and I started practicing it very seriously because I felt there was something magical about Reiki. So
mm,
I carried it on to my hostel and I started healing people through that because it was more of a curiosity as to see how people are going to change with all of this.
mhm,
So it
mhm,
was helping me out, it was helping my friends out, but I still continued it like a secret, like as a child would do or as a college student would do. I never revealed it. But
wow.
later on, I started talking about these subjects to my friends and started making them feel that in life there are more important things that you need to dive into and focus on. So I started off all of this at an early age, but I didn't know that this is the direction that I need to take
Mm, mm,
until
mm,
I actually fell sick in 2010 due to
mm,
cervical spondylosis. Uh,
mm,
I got married to a wonderful person and I had a beautiful child. And what happened was I was working in an MNC company, and the workaholism in me led me to
mm,
actually fall sick.
mm,
And when I fell sick in 2010, that's when I seriously started considering about looking into life as a way to live your purpose. Until then,
wow.
this was all a kind of a passion which I was carrying on, where like in
Mm,
my free time I would talk to my friends about spirituality. I would talk to them about Reiki. I would heal them, and all that was happening as a I would call it like something as a passion. Music was
mm,
also part of my passion. But when I fell sick and understood that life is not going to stay here forever, but is there for a purpose and meaning,
mm,
I wanted to actually get back to life and recover as quickly as possible to relive my life
mm,
more meaningfully.
mm,
Because until then, I thought this is going to be just like anybody would live, like just have fun, have some. It doesn't mean that you're going to be like sitting in a cave or anything, but I considered there is more that I need to do as a person.
mm,
To work on myself and to
mm.
discover my purpose.
Wow.
So as I started understanding this again, there were a lot of people who helped me to recover from my sickness,
Mm,
especially great spiritual masters came to my assistance to help me out. And with all that grace, I came back to life. And then
mm,
I started looking into my mind
mm,
because I knew that there was something that my mind was contributing to in all these cases, like even whether it was my sickness or whether it was my happiness, everything had a contribution from my mind.
mm,
So I wanted to learn more about my mind because I didn't know
mm,
much about my mind. I didn't know anything about my mind, I would say.
mm,
I was reading, I was connecting with all these great people and all that, but I
mm,
didn't know much about myself. I was
mm,
wondering, okay, I've been telling that there have been incidents in my life, in my past, which could have contributed to this, but what can I do as a person to recover from this, and how can I find peace? Because all
wow.
this while my attention was directed outside, how
Mm,
will I
mm,
bring it inside, and how will I clear
mm,
this garbage from my mind so
mm,
that I can live peacefully? So that's how that journey started. And as I had this fortune of learning music, I started from there itself. I decided, let me start from there, what I know. Let me begin
Wow.
from there. And I began from there. And then what happened is we moved to Canada because my husband got an opportunity to work here. And I was not working at that time. And I felt this vacancy where, okay, what should I do now? I have music with me. How about I just start teaching music? I just started from there, started teaching music.
From whatever you knew, you were trying to reinvent your inner self, like what your
Exactly.
purpose is. How cool! How cool!
Exactly.
So, who would you say who that inspired you? Like, who do you consider your mentors to be?
My mentor is my mother.
Mm,
She is like amazing person who has inspired me from my childhood uh, because of her bold and courage attitude towards life. She had to go through a lot of pain in her life, but
mm,
she was a person who actually stuck with her principles and values and continue to kind of encourage and motivate me also in the same way. So every time I had something that was like pulling me back, she would just push me forward. She would
mm,
push
mm,
me forward in through her words. She would push me forward through her own way of living.
mm.
So she was my, I would say, like my first role model. And then my grandparents were also there to mimic the same journey, right? So my first mentor is definitely my mother. Yeah.
And now you are continuing that legacy, and you are uplifting the women in
Yeah.
your own unique way. How
Yeah.
cool!
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are definitely blessed.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so the journey actually began by teaching the kids music. And
Mm,
I started enjoying the conversation that I was having with kids. And this is something that my mother always says that she feels that one of the quality that I possess, which she thinks it's hard for her to
mm.
possess, is to be like a kid with a kid. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Curious. Be curious. Be
yeah,
inquisitive.
yeah,
Wow. Yes, that is true, right? As we become adults, we are like bombarded with society wants us to be certain ways. Our parents want us to be certain ways. Friends want us to be certain ways. So we lose that inner child in us, that
right.
inquisitiveness. We are like, oh, this person wants me to be this way, and this person wants me to be this way. You forget what your inner child wants.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
that is
very
so
much,
beautiful.
very much. So I really enjoyed like teaching these kids and those conversation with kids. So I continued this along with my daughter was also part of all these classes and all that. And then what happened was I wanted to find a job in Canada. I was working as an IT professional in India, and I wanted to take a break from the IT profession when I actually came into Canada. Wanted to try pursuing some of these passions, right? So what I did was I applied for a job in a school where they teach music. So I applied at a private school and I went for the interview. And the person who was heading the school, he said, like, unfortunately, there are no vacancies for a music
Mm,
teacher here.
mm,
But are you interested to teach any language? Was his question. So
mm.
I had no idea that I would say anything at all. So I said, like, maybe I'll come and meet you another time. And I was about to leave. And he was like, hey, wait, I have something to show you. And he showed me a banner with lot of languages there. And he was like, hey, look at this and tell me which language can you teach here.
Wow. I mean, the opportunities come in different ways as long as we have an open mind instead of like, okay, I'm going in just to teach music. I'm going
Yeah.
to apply for this job. And, the universe was giving you, it showed you a banner and you can
Yeah.
pick whichever one you want. How cool.
Yeah, yeah. So you can guess which language I would have picked up. I picked up
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I, I picked up Sanskrit, and then he actually looked at me in a very strange way, and he was like, "What do you know about Sanskrit?" And I was like, I know quite a lot of things about Sanskrit, and I was young at that time, right? Like I was like around just in the beginning of my 30s, and
Wow.
so he,
You were taught Reiki when you were in college.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
have that in you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool. And you were helping your classmates and roommates, I'm sure,
yeah,
when you were in college. So
yeah, yeah.
mm,
So he was puzzled and he was like, "Let me call you for an interview." And he was like, "Tell me certain things about Sanskrit and then we'll take it from there." He asked me questions which I was very confident about and I answered all of that and he was like, "Boom, you are coming in from next week as a
you're hired, right?
yeah, and then I was so happy that day, not because I got a job, but because I can continue to teach or continue to learn and teach Sanskrit, because Sanskrit was a language that I was introduced when I was in seventh grade, and
Mm,
I had no idea about this language from my childhood. And I was in Chennai during that time, and my parents got a transfer to Kerala. One of the requirements that was mentioned in a school in Kerala was that the child should know Sanskrit. And I did not know Sanskrit. So my parents actually found a teacher close by and they asked me to go to this teacher to learn Sanskrit. So the time frame for me to learn this language was 1 month. So
wow.
yeah, so if I don't learn this language, I'm not going to get admission. That was the choice that was left to me.
Mm,
So I went to this teacher, and this language attracted me. Like I would say, there's no other language that attracted me like this. It became like something which was so close to my heart that I
mm,
started loving this language so deeply that I felt like this is more than my mother tongue. It was like more than my mother tongue. I loved it so much. And the teacher, within I think few weeks, she was like, "You're good to go and give your exams." And then I went in, I got admitted into the school, and then Sanskrit was the language that I scored the highest. You
see?
wouldn't believe. Yeah, and till the 10th grade, I was like the topper in the Sanskrit language. And I couldn't think more when I got this opportunity to
To
teach Sanskrit.
teach. Mm. So from from an IT professional, um, you know, being taught Reiki when you were in college, then you were working as an IT professional, then you came to Canada and you were offered a position to teach Sanskrit at the schools while you are going to teach music. And how did you um, how did you meet, or how did you decide, or when did you decide to pursue the life coach from Jay Shetty's certification school?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. The way all of this transformed was like I started this journey of teaching in 2015, yeah, after
Mhm.
my grandfather passed away. And for quite a number of years, I was teaching Sanskrit to children of varied ages, from small children to teens. And I especially enjoyed conversation with teens because the curious questions that they have about Sanskrit language and how they look at it from a different perspective was also helping me to grow in my mindset as well, right? And then I started teaching adults, then seniors, and then I was teaching from home. Like as soon as COVID hit, I was
Mhm.
teaching seniors from home through online lessons. And what
Mm.
happened was I wanted to break free from that curriculum of the school, right? So I had this curriculum that I was following, which I designed myself, and that was all good for the school. But the
Mhm.
school stopped functioning during the time of COVID. And I
Okay.
couldn't stop teaching Sanskrit. So I continued doing it through online classes for all these seniors. And I was doing it at a very, very low fee because the point was I wanted to teach. That's all. So I
Yes.
was teaching this. And what happened was I noticed that they were not able to read the scriptures. They were not able
Mm.
to read the scriptures and understand the meaning of it. So what I
Mm-hmm.
did was I was greatly inspired by this book, Holy Bhagavad Gita. So I wanted them to learn this Bhagavad Gita, and I started offering mentoring sessions on Bhagavad Gita, and also on a couple of old books which are like great poetries and literature works in Sanskrit, right? So all of that started, and what happened was I noticed all these people were learning these things, but they were not applying it into their life. This was
Mm.
making me very disappointed because I
One
was
thing to learn, another thing to apply and
exactly,
follow. We
exactly,
can learn whatever we want. We can just read through it, you
yeah,
know. But then if
yeah,
we are not applying it, that's
yeah,
just knowledge here. But there is a difference between, reading versus applied knowledge. How you're applying that whatever you've learned into your life.
exactly, exactly. So I was teaching second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, telling about how we all get tempted, and how our vasanas actually play a huge role in creating mental dependencies on certain objects, and how you frame this attachment. So I was teaching this to a group of people, and one person asked me this question as to, hey, you can tell all this. This is not easy to apply. And
Mm, mm,
I felt like, okay, let me give an example from my life where
mm,
I know this can be applied.
mm,
And this person was like, hey, Amrita, you can tell all that, but not for us. This is not for us.
mm,
And this, although I made him understand about the deeper aspects and all that, I knew inside myself that this person is thinking this intellectually, but
mhm,
he's not able to apply it into his daily life.
mm.
This made me deeply think about how do I bring this change inside each person's mind so that they can
Wow.
change as a person, they can apply it. And that's when I started deeply contemplating about this. And at that time, again, I don't know if it was the universe giving me the direction. I fell sick again for almost 3 months due to severe pain in my legs. And what
Mm,
happened was I couldn't move anywhere. I had to stay,
mm,
I was stuck in my bed. And so I was like, okay, this is the opportunity to read and learn more. And so I started learning more. And what happened was during that phase, what happened was I got a opportunity to connect with my coach. So my coach was like, we had these conversations about deeper meanings of life and all that. And I told him, see, I'm teaching Sanskrit and all that, but I want to know what is it that can help people to make change in their life. So he asked me to do one thing. He just told me, Amrita, can you grab a pen and paper and just
mm,
write down in one sentence what do you want to do in your life?
mm.
So I just wrote down, I want to change the world. This is what I want.
Wow.
And he was
That
like,
person telling you, that person like, no, you can talk about all this, there is no way we can apply it, actually challenged you
yeah,
to make a change in the world.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, and then once I wrote this down, he was like, okay, now let's have a couple of sessions. Let's discover what is it to find your higher purpose. And then
Mm.
we went through a couple of sessions. And at the end of the session, I said, I want to be a coach. This is what I want to do. Yeah.
So the coach you are talking to, was it a Sanskrit coach? Was it your mentor?
He
What
was
kind
my
of?
mentor. He was my mentor, and he was the one who said like, I respect you teaching Bhagavad Gita. I respect you teaching Sanskrit, but now that you are saying that people need to change rather than just listen to your talks and just stay there
Yeah.
as they are, that means it is bringing an internal transformation inside their minds. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So that's all how it actually began with my connection with my coach and me discovering that this is the way that I want to live, where I bring that internal transformation
Wow.
among the minds so that they get ignited and move from that place where they're stuck to a
Mm.
place where they are transformed. Yeah.
Internal transformation in their mind. So, oh, wow. So you are literally helping them find their true purpose, and you are igniting that in them so they can find what actually their purpose is
Yeah.
and help them transform
Yeah.
internally.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's amazing how. And I am like, um I am inspired by the way you, even though you had so many setbacks, you falling sick in 2010, because you realized, you are aware that you are a workaholic, and that caused you to fall sick in 2010, and you use that opportunity to go in towards your inner self, find out your life's purpose. And then when you were not feeling well again, and you were in the bed for 3 months, you were like, you know what, I'm going to use this opportunity to learn more. And you went in again, and you decided to make change in people's life by transforming, by helping them find that whatever that is in them, like helping them find, by letting them go in through their mind and transform. Wow, that is so cool. So would you consider that as your um, achievement that you're most proud of, would you say?
Yes, that was definitely one of the most biggest achievement because the first person whom I coached soon after that was my mother.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow. Going full circle.
yeah, exactly.
Wow, she's the one who inspired you. Now you are coaching her.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I felt so fulfilled when I
Mm,
could actually coach her and uplift her from her emotional suffering with
mm,
with just one session. The first session itself, she was like thrown back. She didn't trust me initially. She was like, "Hey, is this something that I can actually come to you?" It's because
mm,
as a mother and daughter relationship, although you know that your daughter has become a coach, you can trust her and all that, there could be some inhibitions within you before you start opening up with a coach, right?
mhm,
So the
mhm,
first session was with her was like she was kind of like not completely in that place of like trust, and after the session she was like, hey, I was blown away. I was blown away, and the clarity and the perspective that I got, I would
mm.
not have got it by myself. And I was so happy to hear that from the words of my mother, because more than anybody can tell me that she was the best person who could say, because I know she had gone through so much suffering in her life to even
Mm,
bring me up to this place. So when
mm.
I could coach her and I could give her that insight and support, that totally made me feel fulfilled.
It gives me goosebumps. It literally gives me goosebumps how she helped you in your journey. And I'm, from hearing you, I can tell that you've gone through so much as a young child. And so your mom helping you, guiding you through, holding your hand. And then when she was in emotional distress, you circling back like, mom,
Yeah,
I'm here to help you.
yeah,
And she trusting you. And I mean, any mother would have a little skepticism.
yeah,
But it's really amazing how
yeah,
you have helped her.
yeah.
So is this after you got certified through Jay Shetty's certification?
Yes, yes.
So now that you mentioned that, who would be like, what are all the symptoms that you see where you can help people you mentioned emotional distress. So can you shed some light, like what that will show up as emotional distress, so people can understand, okay, so this is what is called emotional distress. So this is where I would seek a life coach.
Yeah. So the area that I actually help with is specifically for women.
Mm,
Women who have actually gone through a lot of emotional suffering, especially with their relationships. So, as a
mm,
women, we all take different kinds of roles in our life. And sometimes what happens is when we enter new relationships, we lose our identity. We forget about our identity. And then we start living a life to please others. And we start living a life to make others feel happy, and we forget about ourselves. So I help those kind of women to find their identity back so
mm,
that they can be their authentic self, discover their real purpose, and lead a harmonious life. So these women, what I have seen is that they have a lot of past baggage or past trauma which
mm,
is pulling them back. So that is one of the symptoms that I've seen. The other symptoms is they have very, very low regard about themselves. They
mm,
do a lot of self sabotage. They go through a lot of overthinking. They go through a lot of people pleasing. They go
mm,
through a lot of I would call it anxiety. They go through a lot of anxiety within themselves, and all of this, what happens is taking them to places of disappointment and emotional suffering. And what they look forward from life is resilience, to be able to stand up there, living their true, authentic self, being
mm,
as they are, which they lose through different kinds of relationships, not just marriage, but from their own parents. There I have people who are like in their teens, women who are in their teens, who are actually struggling not because of their partners or dating relationships alone, but from their own parents. So
mm,
all these relationships have a contribution to making a woman to a place where they have lost their identity, they don't know who they are, and they're
mm,
living a life without knowing this, which is
mm,
very, very pathetic state, because I have seen my own grandmother suffer due to that, where
mm,
she had to actually, she was a very well educated person, she had a job and all that. She was living with a wonderful person whom you cannot actually see such a person. I would say you can't see such a man in this generation also, because he was so broad minded, very, very, very kind hearted, and was giving the freedom to women as much as possible. But she was living as an identity of my grandfather. So
mm,
he thought that if I'm married to this person, I have to live by his values, his principles, which a lot of women go through, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And what happens is, when you grow up to an age and you understand this person has moved out of my life, whether through death or through other circumstances, and you then start thinking, what is for me now? What is for me?
mm,
And I have seen her suffer where she did not know her purpose in life after my grandfather left. So
mm,
uh, obviously he died, and that's when she started feeling the loneliness, which is another symptom. You feel lonely, you feel you don't
mm,
have anybody to support you, whether you have friends or family around. None of them are giving you that emotional support which is required for you to
yeah.
stand up as you. Yeah.
So you come in the and that on that um, place where they feel lonely. You come in and you. I'm, I'm trying to figure out um, how you are helping that individual find their emotional support from within themselves, so they are not relying on the outside source.
Exactly, exactly.
Got
So,
it.
what I do is, as their guide, I actually provide them all those tools that will help them develop mental resilience and
Okay.
help them to discover their true self so that
Mm.
they can next go in and find their purpose. So I have designed my coaching program in such a way that these are done in stages, not like
Mm.
all in one session. It happens in
Mm.
multiple sessions. And through each stage, like I actually assess the clients as they come in, understanding where they are. And I provide a customized kind of tool which works out well for them so that they can actually progress in their own way, right? Each of them has their own way of progressing. So that way, I slowly take them to that place of their
Mm.
purpose. Yeah.
Wow. So typically, how many sessions do you see people coming in before? I know you mentioned your mom with just one session, she was able to get that clarity, but there are people who might need more
Yeah.
than one session.
Yeah, so the one session that I had with my mom, see, each of them, they come with different kinds of objectives, right? So my mom came in that day with an objective to gain clarity, and that's where
Mm.
we went in and just gave her that, or I went in and just gave her that clarity. But I still continue to talk to her based on whatever she's going through at this point, right? So typically, it depends on each individual because there are people who are mentally matured and you cannot judge them by their age at all, right? Some are, I have had clients where they are teens and you would say like life experience for them is so less, and you would expect them to hardly you would expect them to have longer sessions. But for those kind of individuals, I've seen them actually find their purpose in 5 sessions. So and I have seen people who are like having all this mental baggage which is accumulated from their past, and they have taken almost like 12 sessions to actually get to being able to discover their purpose. There have been also individuals who have actually come back to me after 12 sessions and they've told like, hey Amrita, I've found this, but I want to continue this because I want to know more about me. And I've had them for almost 24 sessions. So it depends on each individual, and what I do is based on that individual, I have all of these sessions. So I typically start from the first session, one session, and I leave it to them whether they want to have it like 5 sessions or they want it to be 12 sessions, and based on that we actually continue our journey. Yeah.
Is it like each session is what, 30 minutes, half an hour? I mean,
One
or
hour,
an hour?
1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, and each of these people, whoever come in for that for those session, they are provided this coaching program. As I said, like the 5 sessions also is like a 5 week coaching program that I provide them with. So they have all tools and resources, and I'm also offering them the support where they can WhatsApp me or text me. So it's more like you have a friend with you who's there to talk to you in a way where you're discovering solutions to your problems, right? So it's not just a regular chat that you're having, but more like a meaningful conversation. Yeah.
It's a friend slash coach
Yeah.
slash support buddy
Yeah.
slash accountability partner.
Yes. Yes, yes, and it actually makes me fulfilled when I see these people come in with a frown face in the first session or a sad face, or they are in tears when they come in, and when they are at the end of their 12th session or fifth session, they're glowing and they're ready to make the next move. That makes me feel so fulfilled. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're helping them find their purpose, and that helps you
Yeah.
fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. That
Yeah.
you help them find
Yeah,
their
yeah,
purpose.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially when they are in places of like betrayal or rejection, right,
Mm,
from their relationships, where they are like they have actually gone to the place of like I hate to say this, but going towards a place of depression, or feeling that I am not wanted in this community, right? From that place, bringing them back, I feel really it is a big achievement whenever I see one women get out of that pit and move out strong. Recently, I had one little girl who actually came in after her rejection from her boyfriend, and she's so young to even go through this. And
mm,
recently, she discovered her purpose of becoming a gymnastic coach, and I felt so grateful to God that um, I could actually connect with her and take her away from that place where she could have gone into drugs, and she was in that
mm,
place where she was about to.
mm.
So I feel grateful that God has given me this amazing direction in life. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do people connect with you if they want to, seek your service?
Yeah, so they can connect with me by booking a call with me, and the way to do it is I have my website, which is www.samsarga.ca, samsarga.ca. They can email me at samsarga.ca@gmail.com, or
Mhm.
even text me to my phone number through WhatsApp at 587 with the country code of +1. Yeah.
So samsarga.ca at Gmail as well.
.com. Yeah. .com. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking time today to come and share the ways you help women, uplift women, and empower them so they can find their true purpose in their life. That's amazing. And I am truly honored and very grateful for talking to you. And through this, I'm sure many listeners are listening, and they will feel empowered just listening to you.
Thank you so much, Aruna, for this opportunity. I'm so happy that I was able to connect with you today, and also share whatever I could from what I've learned and through my own experience with all your listeners.
You're very welcome. And I want to leave my listeners saying, live each day aligned with your purpose. Thank you so much.
Thank you.